All right, Eugene and Andrea back again.
Hey guys, how you doing? Just reminding you to please go to webuildlegacy.com and download your free resource right now. What's Black love got to do with it?
Yes, you want to be able to follow along with us. Right now, we are still addressing some of these contradictions and dealing with some things. And we are talking about the legacy of race in the United States. It's important to know. I know the United States is not the only one that has an issue with race, but that's where we are from. I am sure that because the United States has been very influential around the world, you will notice some things maybe that you didn't know, but also that it's helpful to know. This racism thing in America has been very intentional. The promoting of white supremacy has been very, very intentional. So we have to be very, very intentional about how we are choosing to counteract that, and very strategic about how we are choosing to disassemble things and reassemble it. And believe it or not, there are things that happen in law. There are things that are going to happen in the government. But the first deprogramming we need to take ownership of in our mind. So let's deal with the legacy of race in the United States, and we'll see in a minute.
The legacy of race in the United States. I was born in the United States of America, a country that from its inception distinguished between who was white and who was other. In this country, the same individuals responsible for the Declaration of Independence were also responsible for determining that every 5 enslaved Africans would be counted as 3 people for the purpose of voting and increasing the government's revenue. 1 century later, the one-drop rule would ensure that a person with 1 drop of African blood in their lineage was considered Black. Ironically, the 1-drop rule in reverse has applied to Native Americans, the indigenous people of the Americas. The U.S. Constitution and other laws have upheld a legacy of racial disparities that predates the birth of this country. In 2000, for the first time in the United States history, citizens were allowed to identify more than one race on the U.S. Census. This has been useful as more and more people who have mixed ethnicities have chosen to identify themselves as biracial or mixed race, and have moved away from Jefferson's limited context of ethnic identity. Because of white men's forced sexual encounters with enslaved African women, most African Americans have mixed ancestry. A DNA ancestry report says that I have about 7% Western European ancestry, although one would be hard-pressed to see any trace of it in me. People from other countries especially look at my husband's complexion and say he's mixed. His family knows the name of the ancestor on his mother's side of the family who immigrated from Eastern Europe with her family 4 generations ago. Still, most of his family members have identified themselves as colored, Negro, Black, or African American, even when visually one could not clearly distinguish any African ancestry in them.
Huh.
Again, beautiful reading, beautiful word. Let's begin to dissect this and look at this particular reading as we talk about legacy of race in the United States. See, I want to take an excerpt and read. I know I've been doing a lot of reading, but it's important for us to read because some of these things, you know, we've heard, right? We've heard from our family members, we heard in class, you know, but we might not have read on our own through our own research. And you've laid this out for us in such plain English, and it's special. So I'm going to take opportunity and I'm going to read this because maybe for the first time, this might have been broken down for you, and for you to hear this coming at you in this particular format can be surprising because, you know, our country, the U.S., is being lifted and lauded up as a great nation. And so we have to take in the whole picture. Why we say it is a great nation, I think that's overemphasized by not taking into context what it has done to us as a black people, a black nation. Because there were things that have happened to us and our ancestors that has been very, very, very traumatic, and is very, very
You're saying that so
hurtful.
kindly. You're like, very traumatic, very
You know,
hurtful.
let me
That's
go.
an
Let me go. Let
understatement.
me go. Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and read. It says, in this country, the same individuals responsible for the Declaration of Independence were also responsible for determining that every 5 enslaved Africans would be counted as 3 people for the purpose of voting and increasing the government's revenue. And I can keep on talking about the 1-drop rule,
Well,
but
I'm
I'm gonna
going to talk
stop right.
about that.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna stop there on that particular part because here it is being dehumanized, talking about 5 people equaling 3 people. I mean, that
And
was
now
at the
they're
birth
just
of this country.
right now. There's a whole point, and people are going to say, no, they knew they were human. They were devaluing. It was a part. It was about economics. It was not about humanity. People can go around in those circles if they want to. I've had all those discussions about no, they knew they were human. They were not talking about. They never denied their humanity. I'm not playing those games. I'm not doing that. We're not gonna do that. In
No,
this
because you
particular
didn't because you
context.
didn't think they were human when you were burning
Exactly.
them, or when you were
Yeah.
lynching them and
No.
hanging them
And cutting off their testicles and chopping off their feet.
taking
for
babies
running.
out of wombs and raping
Yeah,
women and
so
breaking up families. They weren't seen as human. So stop trying to take up for a system and honoring Confederate soldiers and
there you go.
Confederate.
Okay, so what we were saying was because see
I did it
that
again.
you did it again.
All right, sorry about
I
that.
have to watch you.
Yeah, and remember now, we're talking about black love.
Okay.
But before you even get to black love, and for us to be able to love and appreciate, we got to unfold some things.
That's right. So the 1-drop rule. I wanted to bring this up. Well, first of all, unless you have gone back and looked at the census like I have since 1790, you would just be amazed. The census, you would think that, they make changes. They make changes every 10 years or so, right?
Changes that will accommodate.
Excuse me. I need you to take a few deep breaths while I try to explain.
Mr. Light Skin.
Yeah, Mr. Light Skin, please.
Mr. 1-drop.
You know what? Now, I didn't say that, and I'm not even laughing at that. I am not. No. You want me to stop this recording? You are not gonna say okay.
All right, I said that it's on record. I just thought it was funny.
I didn't say it. I have witnesses. He needs to nap. Obviously, I don't know what it is. I didn't say it.
Okay.
I write everything I write about him, and
let's go ahead and start talking about the census.
Listen, I'm gonna tell the census. I told somebody, I was saying, I have about 7%, European blood, right? And I told somebody what his percent was. Don't be telling people how much European ancestry% I got. Don't be. I'm like,
who said that?
I was just sharing. Don't be walking around talking about my DNA result. You talk about your own DNA result. So I ain't saying jack. I don't talk about his DNA. All right? I don't talk about nothing. I talk about my own. Black love. So
the U.S. Census.
The U.S. Census. 1790. That's what I was talking about. This video is a hot mess.
Yes,
okay. 1790. If you ever look at them, what you will find is that there is one category, that there were changes that were made for different aspects of the census. Every now and then they would deal with property or what this or that was. But the one thing that was consistently updated on the census was race, and race.
Wow.
So if you look at every census from 1790 up until now, you will see when Italians became white people, and when Latinos became white people. All of these different things. Because, and I think I stated it in a different place. Half of the people, okay, I'm getting in one of my moments.
Go ahead. Talk to us. Talk to us.
Okay. The scramble for Africa involved Western European countries. Western European countries are a lot different than Eastern European countries. As far as family structures, as far as the way things are done, you know, just think about it. The everything is different, right? Listen to me. When it comes to who is white and who is other, most of those folks from Eastern Europe came here as an other, even though their skin looked the same. Don't get that twisted. If you want to talk about, see, people try to act like, oh, white Americans, European are going to be outnumbered. Ooh, go find those censuses, 1790 on down. When you go look at it, what you'll find is every time they were about to be outnumbered, somebody else got their white card.
Oh my God. Teach.
I know people darker than my husband that are Latino. They come to this country.
And they write.
It's my soapbox. And I've asked them this question. What do you put down? Because people, why did I put this? Look, why did I put this? Is what's on the census. Okay, so you need to know that. Okay, why is it there? Because I want you to read. What you'll notice is there is no slot for Latino or Hispanic. So when it comes to race, some of them will choose to put nothing. There's no slot. I've talked to people darker than my husband, and I say, what do you put down for race? And you know what they say? Well, I know I'm dark, but I'm not black, so I put white. They've been outnumbered in this country. They're not when I was doing my research, I kept running past stuff that I didn't know. I did not know. I know I'm a little slow, but I didn't know that this was considered a white country. Like a European, that's how it's framed in research papers. All the way up to the 2000s, people were like, this is a white country.
The ideology.
They meant ideology. They meant it's a majority. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I need you to understand. They've been outnumbered. Find somebody whose family is Italian. Find somebody who's Jewish. Jewish people were not considered white. They were lynching them too. The Ku Klux Klan. They were not considered white. They were others. But find one today. They've been given their white card. And why were they given their white card? And I promise I'm going to stop yelling at y'all. Because they needed them in order to say they maintained this majority. If you are basing this on what was originally considered to be, then the majority culture has been a minority for a long time. Middle Easterners come over here. They click white. North Africans come over here. They click white. They're nowhere near the continent. Or, see, Europe is not a continent. Let me not start on that. But they're not even in Europe.
See how the rules change?
That's the point.
Laws change.
They change for convenience. And we cannot continue to allow ourselves to be dictated to, even in our personal worlds, based on laws that people would change for whose convenience? Their own. I'm done.
And, guys, again, thank you for continuing following us in this particular reading and commentary, What's Black Love Got to Do with It? I want to continue and just say, it is kind of frustrating to realize that you're in a dominating, controlling system that changes for its benefit. But it's true, it's there, it's happening. And you have to realize that those changes not only happen in the laws, they're happening in politics, it's happening in business, in
Everywhere.
economics, agriculture, and yes, religion. So let's go ahead and rewind and begin to look at the truth and the way it's being presented as half truths and not the whole truth. And that's what we're here to help you guys to investigate and open up and begin to build a authentic legacy foundation that would include the whole truth. Because we want you to be successful. We want you to be in a state of peace, vibrating at your highest frequency. But we know this is only possible if you do that as it relates to being true to yourself and true to your heritage and your culture.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
to say one more
Please,
thing.
yes.
I did mention, I said that the one drop rule worked in reverse for Native Americans. And I wanted to just say quickly about that. What I mean by that is, the government upheld the one drop rule to deem whoever was black, and did that, regardless of how you looked. You could be passing, you could be whatever, but if you had that one drop, you were black. What I meant when I said the reverse thing happened for Native Americans, and it's probably because they did get a form of reparations. It's not enough for you to say my great whomever is Native American. You must continue to have tribal affiliations. You must, and this is what it says. It literally says Native Indian or Alaska Native, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. So literally, there is no other qualification on these 5 categories of white, black, Native American, Asian, or Native Hawaiian, or Pacific Islander. But they were like, no, you must maintain your tribal affiliation to be considered Native American. No one else has a requirement. It doesn't say that for Asian. All it says is having any of the original peoples of the Far East, and it lists them. But for Native Americans, they had a different qualification. They say, then you must be affiliated. And I just want to point that out. These rules, that's why it's underlined. People are making rules that affect our lives. Whenever we have the freedom to make our own, we should do it. That's what I want to say.
Hey guys, thank you so much. And please don't forget to go to WeBuildLegacy.com and download your free resource, What's Black Love Got to Do with It, so that you guys can continue along with us as we continue to break down this particular lesson relating to Black love and you succeeding in all of your relationships.
Exactly.
Thank you guys, and we see you on the next talk.
Yes.